Hi everyone, my name is Matt, also known as the UKAstroNut, and today in this special video I'm going to be answering one of your questions. So a user called Katie left a comment in one of my videos and she asked, where is Voyager 1, basically? So there's been a lot of conflicting stories and articles that Voyager 1 is maybe sort of left the reaches of the sun, is in sort of deep space, and then some say that it hasn't and actually got it wrong. And she asked, is the tape measure wrong? Have we got our distances wrong? If we changed our mind, or are there just lots of different views? So she didn't really know. So I thought I'd do this video and try and explain to you what is going on with Voyager 1. So first things first, what is Voyager 1? Well, Voyager 1 was launched in 1977, and its main aim was to go through the solar system and study some of the planets throughout the solar system. So in 1980, it reached Saturn after looking at some other planets and doing some flybys and some slingshots to gain some speed. And it looked at Saturn, it took some lovely photos, and it studied the atmosphere and studied Saturn itself. And then they flung it by Titan, which is one of the moons where we think there potentially could be liquid water and life. And we sent Voyager 1 to study that. But what that meant was that it couldn't carry on through the rest of our solar system then. Because you imagine our solar system as a plane like this with all the planets along the plane. Well, Voyager 1 got to Saturn here and then they flung it out of the solar system. So it couldn't go near any of the other planets. So we just flung it into deep space basically. But what is deep space? I mean, we have this idea of the solar system, and the solar system is our 8 planets, but I mean even that's wrong. The solar system actually extends much, much further than that. And there are things that are thousand times distance of the Earth that still include actually within the solar system. We just sort of don't think of it in this way. We think the solar system just being our planets. But there's also things like the reach of the sun. So sunlight will go on forever and ever, but there are things called solar winds, which are basically particles that aren't light, but just normal particles that are fired from the sun. And they form a sort of wind, and they actually do blow things. So the tail on a comet is always blown away from the sun by solar winds. And at some point we think that this solar wind reaches a certain distance, and it sort of comes up against the force of all the other stars' solar winds, all their stellar winds, and it sort of creates an edge of where the solar wind from our sun goes. And this is what we're talking about when we talk about Voyager, because we think that Voyager has probably reached this limit by now. But it's all quite confusing. So I'm going to go through a brief timeline and show you kind of what happened with Voyager and what all these different things are, because there's a lot of different terms here. So in 2010, Voyager was thought to go past something called the Heliopause sheath. So this is about 80 times the distance of the Earth from the Sun. So this is really, really far away now. And at this point, the solar winds, we think, begin to start slowing down. So they begin to stop going outwards and they start compressing against the other solar winds and other particles and things like this. Instead of pushing outwards, they begin to reach the edge, almost like a bubble. They're sort of reaching the inside edge of a bubble. And this is in around 2010. We started detecting that the solar winds was less going outwards of the solar system, more going sort of horizontal as it's going around the edges of this kind of bubble as we have it. Then in 2012, it passed something called the Heliopause, and this is around 120 times the distance of the Earth to the Sun. And this is where the solar wind basically stops. So I said it was slowing down the Heliopause sheath, but at Heliopause we really think it's stopping at this point. And this is pressure from the other stars, their stellar winds are just stopping it and all pushing against each other. So at this point, we think it kind of got to this point, A, because we detected less particles coming from behind us, from our own sun, but also we detected a load of high energy particles coming away from our sun. We think these are from nearby supernova explosions and things, and that our solar wind blocks out a lot of these particles normally, but once we get outside this we can detect a lot more of these particles. So this is in 2012, we thought we'd reach this stage. This is towards the edge of the bubble, which is the sort of the reaches of our sun's solar wind. And then later in 2012, in August, NASA officially announced that Voyager had now left the reach of the solar wind and entered interstellar space. So this is the space in between stars, basically. And this was a really big thing in 2012 that they thought they'd reached this point. We noticed much more radiation hitting Voyager, which is why we think that it's now reached this point. because the solar wind has no influence at this point. And we still think this is, this is, on Plot scale, this is still well within the solar system. So the solar system goes out much, much further than this. But this is just the reach of the sun again, the reach of the sun in terms of its solar wind. But a lot of people disagree. Now, one of the big things about this is in our models of what should happen when we reach this edge point of the solar wind, is we think there should be a really big change in the magnetic field. And this is caused by the magnetic field of the sun, and we think this should change significantly. But we haven't actually seen this so far. So our models think it should happen, but we haven't seen it. So this is why a lot of people think we're still not actually there, because we haven't seen this big change of magnetic field. And a lot of NASA scientists on Voyager think that we will see it soon, but they think that because we haven't seen it yet, that we probably aren't there. So, but it could be that our model's wrong and we just got this wrong, but we don't really know. So that's kind of where we're at the moment, and Voyager 1 will just continue to travel through space now. In around 2030, it will eventually run out of power, and then sadly won't be able to do anything more, but it will just keep floating through space, and it probably won't hit anything for the rest of space, because the rest of time, because space is so empty, it's not going to hit any stars or anything, so it'll just keep floating through the universe. So thank you very much for watching. That's just a brief description of where Voyager is. Hopefully I explained it. So we think that Voyager probably has reached the end of the edge of the solar winds where it can reach, but a lot of people disagree. So we think that if it isn't, it'll be there soon. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check out the rest of my videos, and I'll see you guys soon.